Welcome to Startup Grind Monterey Bay. We're here with Jacob Martinez at the DigitalNEST in Watsonville. It's the first of its kind co-working space for kids. So give us a little background story on yourself.
Yeah.
What brought you to Watsonville, and then also kind of how you got here to where you are today.
Yeah. Went to City College San Francisco after spending my high school days in Texas. Originally from Los Angeles, but made my way to Texas and ended up in San Francisco. Texas wasn't the best fit for an LA boy, so was up there studying history, and then right before I transferred into UC Santa Cruz, I switched my major over to the sciences. Okay. Because I spent this whole spring in the Bay Area just fulfilling a general ed requirement, like this environmental studies science requirement. So I was hiking around, just loved the outdoors. I'm like, oh, this is great. And then I transferred to UC Santa Cruz and quickly realized I needed to take organic chemistry, physics, and calculus and all this other stuff. So it wasn't as nice as I originally envisioned biology being. But I stuck it out, ended up graduating there. And at this point, I spent 3 years, I took a year off after high school, 3 years at City College in San Francisco and 3 years at UCSC. So 7 years later, I was engaged and on the verge of getting married and making no money, and I actually got into some PhD programs, but okay. Because I was getting married, I went to this counselor on the campus and said, look, I need to take a year off. I need to try to raise some money to help pay for this thing, and ended up getting a job in working with this outreach group to try to get more underrepresented youth in the sciences. Okay. So I was literally an admin at the front desk, and found myself counseling a lot of students when they came in, a lot of undergrads, first year, second year up at the university, struggling to figure out if the science was the best fit for them. So I was counseling a lot. And that's where I really found my niche of like working with youth and really enjoying helping kids out and helping them on their careers. And ended up getting hired by the university to lead their MESA programs out in Watsonville, okay. Which is like outreach efforts to get more students in low-income communities into the sciences. So I did that, was really enjoying it, and then I got a phone call one day from a nonprofit that got a grant to do, from the National Science Foundation, to do an all-girl 6th grade introduction to computer science program. And they asked me if I'd want to run it, and I said, yeah, I'd love to. And that was 10 years ago, so ever since then I've been in this tech education world.
And did you have any tech experience before going into that?
Not at all, none. I'm a biologist.
Yeah, so you just kind of dove in.
Yeah, but I did go back and get my master's in instructional technologies. Okay. From CSUMB, CSU Monterey Bay. So how do you use technology for instruction?
Okay, very cool, very cool. So once you got to Watsonville, started working on the programs, when did you know that you wanted to kind of turn this into a business? I mean, it's nonprofit, but nonprofits are kind of businesses. They're a big undertaking. You got to get a lot of people involved to make them go. Yeah.
So I was doing that work for 8 years under National Science Foundation grants, so big, like $500,000 to $1 million grants, right? Mm-hmm. And then we were one of the few people really in the country. This was happening all throughout the country, trying to build a workforce because there's a huge shortage in workforce. We were one of the few groups that were focusing on rural, like ag communities, so yeah. We quickly kind of became really prominent in the industry. So I was traveling around a lot, giving a lot of talks and conferences and advising on projects. And what I saw was the needle wasn't moving. Mm-hmm. So there's all this money being pumped into computer science education, but there wasn't in terms of trying to get more diversity and more youth involved in tech, and there just really wasn't any change, right? Mm-hmm. And so when I quickly started reflecting on the work that I was doing here locally, there was two things that I noticed. One was when our programs were up and running, kids were super engaged, right? They loved tech, they were all about it. But let's say winter break comes or summer came, so the kids would have a break between programming. When that break was over, we tried to get them back in. They were like, nah, I'm not into it anymore, and I'm behind. I don't want to do that anymore. Mm-hmm. But it was shocking because here are these kids that were super engaged, but then months later they were not engaged. Yeah. And so what we realized was outside of our programs, a lot of these kids didn't have access to tech. So it's imagine if you're studying something and you're really into it, and then you get this break for months, and then you're asked to come back, and all of a sudden you forgot everything you learned, right?
Yeah.
And it's because they didn't have that day-to-day access because of the struggles in their family, right? Economically. And then the other thing we noticed was that we would take kids on these field trips to Google and Facebook and Twitter. We've been everywhere with the kids. We were actually one of the first groups to ever take kids to Google. That's like 10 years ago when nobody went to Google. Now everybody goes to Google on a field trip. But those environments were so hip and cool and engaging, and kids just wanted to work there, and they were so excited. But we were bringing them back into these like boring, stale environments, computer labs, right? And so one day this has all been in me, and one day I was having coffee with this guy, the CEO of NextSpace, Jeremy Neuner, and I said, hey, wouldn't it be cool if there's a co-working space for kids? And because him and I were chatting up about some stuff. And so that's when this business idea really took off. It was just more of a conversation over coffee.
Yeah, very cool.
And then he's like, yeah, you should do it. You could do it. That sounds really cool. And I saw this need, and that was October 2013. And in early 2014, we really moved forward with it.
Very cool. Did you see, because growing up here in Monterey Bay and went to Aptos High School, and during the winter vacation, a lot of the kids go back to Mexico or other countries because their parents don't have any work. Did you see that as one of the reasons why there was kind of that disconnect as well, where the kids are going back to the other countries, and if there was programs like that in their country of origin, that they would be able to also continue going on like that?
Yeah, I mean that's a piece of it. I mean kids are like leaving for big chunks of time and just like not feeling connected, right? But here in the States, like just you would ask kids if they had a computer at home, and a lot of them would say, yeah, I got a computer at home, and you'd be surprised because these kids barely know how to like do anything on the computer. But when you really ask them, like, well, tell me about that. What does that look like? It's like, well, my uncle has a computer, and he lets me on, maybe once or twice a week, and I'm just on there on YouTube, or I'm on like Facebook or whatever, right? It wasn't like this real, true access that a lot of kids from affluent communities get, right? Of like, they have an iPad on their own, their parents have a computer, they have their own Mac, they have all these tools, right?
Yes.
These kids in these low-income communities just don't have that access to those tools.
So once you came up with the idea for the Nest, how did you get to the next phase at the previous location, where you've got a group, you've got people that they love the idea, they want to help. How did you go from the concept to actually opening up the location? How long was that time frame from the coffee meeting that you had with Jeremy to actually opening?
Yeah, so the concept was October 2013.
Okay.
We opened our doors of our first location November 2014.
Wow.
So we raised about $350,000 in 6 months, really, because we started right before summer of 2014 to start fundraising. So we opened November 2014 of our startup location. In 1 year, we grew to 450 members.
Okay.
So we closed down the first location November 2015, and just this January, we opened up this center here.
So speaking of the membership, can you explain a little bit about the membership and how it works? Because you have different age groups and different areas and all that.
Yeah, it's really simple. As long as you're between the ages of 12 and 24, you can become a member. We don't look at where you're from. We don't know how much money your parents make. I'm a biologist, right? And so strong ecosystems have a lot of diversity, right? And so I believe that with the Nest. So we have youth from different ages, different backgrounds, different ethnicities. We have kids from Santa Cruz, Monterey. We have UCSC students. Wow. We have college grads. It's pretty diverse here.
And then volunteered a little bit with you, and like to talk also about the programs you have during the summer when kids are a lot of times they're outdoors, and getting them indoors to be on a computer I think can sometimes be hard. But you know, I saw a lot of kids when I was out there for the web program, and it seems like you had a lot of different of the institutions.
Yeah.
You could talk a little bit more about that, because that was something that I would love to get my daughters into when they're old enough, you know?
Yeah, so our institutes are typically 1 to 2 week long courses of really intense time. We found in the summer that's the best time to do it, because a lot of these kids, their parents are working and they're looking for stuff to do, and let's get them into some real opportunities that will help build their skills. So we've done everything from web design, which you've helped out with, graphic design and marketing. Dell Computers taught an intro to computer science course. We've done classes with LinkedIn. We've done some entrepreneurship things as well. So we got some VCs to come in here and coach some of our youth about launching businesses. So we've done a little bit of everything, yeah.
So now you've got the new location, and it's amazing. Where do you see in the next 6 months? You know, how many members did you get to sign up once you?
When we shut down November, we had 450. Now we're up to 650.
Wow.
Yeah. So in 3 months, we've added 200 more just by moving downtown Watsonville.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so
that is amazing. No, that's amazing. It's very cool because you know, I definitely, when growing up here and going to the computer labs, it wasn't a fun place. You know, it was just, okay, do your word perfect or whatever. It wasn't engaging. This is very much like the you know, the places that you can go work at when you get older at Google, and I've been to a couple of the co-working spaces where they've got slides and stuff, so this is kind of reminiscent.
Yeah, yeah. And it's in Watsonville. Who would have thought, you know?
I know. I never would have seen this here. Like,
Yeah.
I really didn't. And I don't know. It's very interesting because I could see it in Santa Cruz. I could see it in Aptos, but in Watsonville, I wouldn't see it. And this is. Next space has competition.
Yeah, yeah.
So, where do you see the Nest going? You had mentioned that you were going to be getting some funding to open up a second location. Talk about where that location is going to be, and then also where do you see the Nest going beyond that location?
Yeah. So in this past November. We had some meetings with some key people in Salinas, and we raised all the money to open Salinas. And so now it's a matter of getting DigitalNEST here in Watsonville to a state that's running smoothly, and got great staff helping me out here and getting all the systems in place so that we can open up Salinas in 2017. Probably January 2017 is our target right now. So we're next 6 months we're really focused on building the staff capacity out there and hiring staff. And then beyond that, once we could show people that we could replicate this model, and we know what we're doing, making it sustainable there as well, I really believe sites 3 and 4 will pop up in 2018. And then from there, we'll see where we grow. Our vision when we launched this was to start off regionally, and then to look at California and look at those communities that need it, and then beyond that, let's go. There's communities across this country that would need it.
Yeah.
Whether it's a DigitalNEST model and we're doing it, or whether it's us consulting and advising and helping other people do it with their own little twist on it. But that's yet to be seen.
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you see like different DigitalNEST kind of with almost like different subjects, where one might be tech, one might be biology, or have different equipment, because nowadays tech equipment is getting cheaper and cheaper for all industries. I mean, 3D printing, you got the 3D printer upstairs, but you now have companies that are making like the mini almost biology computers where you can do a scan of blood or other things like that, and then costs, instead of millions of dollars, thousands of dollars.
Yeah, I mean the model is going to communities, seeing what the local workforce needs are of that community, and then building up the talent. All right, and building up that pipeline so that these companies and these communities can recruit from their own community, recruit their own kids. You know.
You went to the White House.
Yeah.
How did that come about?
I went twice. It was the crazy thing. So the first time, I got a call. I thought it was a joke. My staff came and told me that the White House was on the phone.
Wow.
Because there was National Engineering Week.
Okay.
They heard about what we were doing. They wanted me to bring out a couple kids to see this movie, a documentary about engineering in the White House. So I said, yeah, I'll take kids, and I arranged 2 kids to go.
Was that with the Farmbotics, Anthony?
Yeah,
Was it?
yeah. So he went with, because he was mentoring these kids, so I invited him out with us and one of their teachers. And then while we're in the screening of this film, I got a tap on the shoulder, and hey, next week we're doing this new tech meetup. I mean, the first ever White House tech meetup.
Yes, yes.
And next you know, out walks Megan Smith, the Chief Technology in the United States.
Wow.
Comes right up to me. She says, Jacob, we've been tracking what you're doing. We love what you're doing. No one else is talking about rural communities and building ag and tech in these communities. You know, we really hope you come out to this event. And so in my mind, I'm already like, going back to DC 2 weeks in a row is crazy. I have kids and family, right?
Yeah.
But in my mind, I'm like, I'm going, right? And then I got back to my hotel room and I got an email that said, and we hope you come back, and we would love for you to be one of the 15 speakers at the meetup. So the first ever White House Tech Meetup, it was #1 trending event on Twitter one day.
Yeah, I was following it. I mean, it was pretty amazing. I saw, because at first I thought it was the same thing, because I had seen you like there the week, and then I thought these were catch-up photos that were coming out. I was like, wow, that's kind of, wow.
And so that was like on a Thursday or Friday, I can't recall, but that following Monday, I got a phone call from Facebook.
Okay.
And that's when we got a donation from Facebook of 25 MacBook Pros.
Yes.
All because they saw this meetup and it was trending, and they saw my hashtag, and they were, you know, it just went viral, and we got a lot of support after that.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, you know, your nonprofit is about kids. What's the feedback that you've actually got from the kids, both in things that they want to see, or you know, and then also what has been their favorite place that you've actually taken them, like on a field trip? What is one of the coolest places that they really enjoyed?
Yeah, well, first off, when they walk in the door for the first time, and there's like a neon sign above them, and there's always like cool furniture, and there's like free food, and there's all these different places to go, and there's an upstairs, like, to see them, we have a Google bike at our door, right? Yeah. So you walk into the space, and they're blown away that this is like in their community, right?
And very
cool. We've actually had a kid cry, like just like tear up, just because they were so, they were so honored, and just like, so like someone would do this for them, you know? Yeah. And then in terms of like taking kids out of here, that's part of it we want to show them too. It's like, this past summer we did a all-girl field trip to, they started off, they had met at Google, then they had lunch at Facebook, and then they ended up at a startup in Palo Alto, right? So we do a lot of things with that, you know, we get them out. Yeah.
Wow, yeah, no, that's pretty empowering to just, I mean, to hear the stories like that. Wow.
That's the way it is. Yeah. That's the way it is here daily, right? It's like these kids don't have. I tell people these kids have the same drive, the same work ethic, the same concern for their community, the same like wanting to help their families, that you know, that drive. But these kids don't have the same opportunity, right? If you were a kid from Watsonville and your parents are farm workers and you wanted to get into digital photography, right? Well, you need a MacBook Pro, right? You need a good Mac, right? So that's $1,500 right there. You need a good camera. That's another. Even though they're getting cheaper, you're still spending $400 on a camera. You need the Adobe Creative Suite, right? That's $40 a month. You need good internet if you're gonna do anything with images and files. That's another minimum $40, $50 a month, right? So now you're upwards of $2,000, right? Yeah. How are you gonna ask your parents for that much money to do something that you're passionate about, right? Yeah. That's like a month's worth of their income, right? It's just not possible. And then 2 years later, you're gonna ask them to update everything and do it all over again. Like it's just not possible. So these kids just need that opportunity to get access to these tools. So that's what we're doing. We're providing the tools. We're providing with the people around them to help them build their skills and knowledge. And we'll see where this takes them.
I'm sorry. What are your hours, or how is it open?
It's Monday through Friday, noon to 7. Oh, okay. But we're only closed. We only have 4 days that we're closed during the week, and that's if Christmas, New Year's, Thanksgiving, and Christmas Eve. So those 4 days. So Labor Day, President's Day, any other holiday, we're open. We're closed Saturday and Sunday, but actually Saturdays, like it varies. Like we're probably open every other Saturday. Like this Saturday we're open, but definitely Monday through Friday into 7. Our vision is to go 7 days a week. Yeah. So.
And do you see, you know, like, because of the different age groups, do you see any like trouble at all like that with having the younger kids and the older kids, or are you seeing more of like a mentorship program coming down the pipe where you've got the kids that have already kind of gone to school, they're more knowledgeable in the different programs, and almost like a big brother, big sister type thing?
Yeah. So the co-working spaces are for high school and 18 to 24-year-olds. There's two different spaces, and everybody has different colored lanyards, so we can see age. We know where they are, so we can make sure everybody's safe. Middle schoolers can't drop in. They could come if they're demonstrating that they're working on something, but they can't just show up. So the safety that we have in place, I think really everybody checks in, regardless if you're a volunteer, a guest, anybody, everybody checks in, and so we know who's on site at all times.
Very cool.
So we do rounds upstairs, and it's pretty safe. But yeah, the older ones do really. One of the requirements for some of the older ones are what I call our associates, which are our top levels that they're actually mentoring down. So.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Gosh, yeah, I didn't see now my questions are coming. And then, yeah, I mean, I saw the 3D printer, you know, and it's this new tech thing, and that it's still, you know, I'm still trying to see how it will be used. I mean, I see we have one in our office. I love it. You know, you can make cool stuff with it. But I guess what I'm trying to see is what do you see with the kids? Like, is it to just get them happy with computers and understanding new programs and new types of technologies that are emerging, or do you see it more as just something that they can play with? Like, how do you see that with the?
Yeah, it's a little bit of both. I think being that we're an agricultural community, there's constantly ag that's looking to innovate their industry, and a lot of that is mechanical, or like trying to figure out new ways to irrigate their land, their fields, and new devices and new things. And so I can see the 3D printer potentially being used for like manufacturing, not manufacturing, but doing like a prototype of a case, or like some new thing to hold the device or something. But we still haven't reached. I'm still trying to figure out how to best use that 3D printer.
I was amazed at the ag tech meetups. I mean, they're packed houses. Are you still having them here?
Yeah, we took a little bit of a break, but the last one is every month, and we're going to do one in March.
Very cool.
We'll be here at the new Nest.
Yeah, I was amazed at, gosh, what farm was it? Not Rydal. It was one of the big farms here in the Bay, and how much money they put into R&D. And that was amazing, like the amount of money that they actually put into research and development. And that's where all the profits were. It was kind of like, instead of going out and now you have this ag tech explosive market, it's because they're able to raise funds and then do it cheaper, and it makes it more profitable, I would think, for these larger companies to go buy stuff. But the evolution, I think the coolest one was the evolution of the cart that goes down like the rows for picking lettuce. It started out as just kind of like this cart that got pushed down, and then after that they put on a conveyor belt, so the boxes, as it would go down the row, it would kind of stack things up, and then when it got down to the end of the row, it literally would just lift the stuff up onto the truck. And then they even modified it again and put solar panels on it, so you're providing shade, and then it was also generating its own electricity. And then they also put on lights on it, so then they could actually have people picking at a much cooler and earlier hours, because it had full light, it was solar powered, electric, and they built it and designed it themselves. So I definitely see that in the Monterey Bay coming.
Yeah, I mean, it's like there's a shortage of workforce, right? I believe about like a fifth of all their crops go unpicked because they don't have a big enough workforce. And then the shortage of water, right? So they're trying to figure out how do we be more, the population of this world is increasing. There's less ag land. There's less people interested in ag. So how are we more efficient? Less resources, so how are we going to be more efficient in what we do? And the solution is technology. Now, those companies are trying to figure out how do we compete with Silicon Valley for that talent, you know, and that's...
We need workers.
Yep.
We need, and I guess it's kind of political, but do you feel that the atmosphere in the United States has kind of played a role in that, in the immigration policy of the U.S.? Because I mean, it seems like there's a lot of people going back to Mexico and just, I mean...
So the conditions in Mexico are getting better. There's not as much like urgency to leave like there was. The immigration laws are challenging here, and this environment's not some of it's not that welcoming to people to come in. And it's funny because ag is a real proponent for like immigration reform because they don't have a workforce, and the people here in this country are not going to go out there and pick, you know. And so we got to feed people, and so it's I think this is more of anything. It's more of a lack of information and lack of understanding what like the real challenges